Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Kit's Corner. Thank you so much for watching the first episode. Today I am joined by Oliver Tester, creative actor in musical theatre, starring in Westside Story, Shrek the Musical, Mamma Mia.
Yeah, man.
A Funny Girl with Sheridan Smith.
That's the one.
Me and My Girl with Matt Lucas.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's more that I've missed.
Mate, you've smashed it. You've bigged me up to the high end, mate. Happy to be here. Proud of you. Looks great.
Thanks for coming.
Set out a goal, made it happen.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about, mate.
Yeah, we've done it. We've achieved something in the last year.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so go on, tell us about how did you get into musical theatre?
Well, actually, that's actually quite a funny story to start with. So I'm very fortunate that my family, surrounding family, were artistic. I'd say that. Amateurly, generally. But very fortunate to be growing up with like singing Happy Birthday with like a harmony and things like that, little things like that.
Classic.
Grandparents and uncles and aunties in sort of doing amateur dramatics. So I was just chucked into things when I was younger. But I always had this crazy energy, probably quite natural in trait openness and things like that. So, I was bounced around from a very young age. But it was in terms of when I started dancing, which is where it all began really, actually starting the dancing. I was at school and I was in year 3 and we had a show and tell day, right? And I was quite fortunate to be, again, active and I took part in everything, but I was never like, top notch at like, I never got medals and trophies and things, It's always like, well done, mate, you did well, thank you.
Not like now.
Not like all the trophies.
Yeah.
But, when you're 8 and you're at school and all your mates getting these things. So my friend Bradley, shout out Bradley, Bradley came in. And he had all these trophies and medals. And I was like, there's some big boy trophy and medals. So I just went up to him and said, dude, like, where did you get all of these? And he said, well, I go to dancing and my mum teaches at dancing. And I was like, well, there you bloody go. So, so after school that day, I got in the car, started driving home. And I just went, Mum, I want to start dancing.
Yeah.
She went, and my mum and my brother was in the car at the time. He remembers it as well. And that's I think what's cool as well. It wasn't prompted, at all. I just was like, I want to start dancing. He's got these big boy medals. I'd quite like myself to have a big boy medal. I'm going to start dancing. And that was kind of the start of it. So I was 8 years old. At the same time, I was doing things like karate and football and a bit of boxing as well.
I do karate as well.
You
and
do?
Reece.
Do you? Does Reece do karate?
Yeah. Well, that's how me and Reece first met.
No way.
Before the gents.
There you go, mate.
We knew each other.
We're linked way back when for our karate days.
Yeah.
So
Jodanzuki and all that sort of business.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. Sensei, all that.
Yeah, us.
So basically, I was into all that, and then the dancing. The first day, I remember not much. I just remember going in there and loved tap dancing straight away. And then boom, started that, and I was going like once, twice a week. Started having some private lessons, but the school I was at was a really good school, but it was predominantly performance based. What I mean by that is when it came to teaching routines and things like that, there was no technical, what you would call training beforehand. So it wouldn't be like, right, for the first half an hour of the class, we're going to practice our kicks or turns, and we're going to talk about a technique and where our core needs to be, and all of this mumbo jumbo. It was, look, you've got a bunch of energetic kids. These are the moves. Do these moves this way, and all will be well. Yeah. So I did that till I was about 14. And then I did a show called Celtic Journey, which was predominantly like an Irish-based show, but it's one of those shows you do at the summer, and you go and it was like a summer school workshop thing. You pay a little bit of money and you get to be in this big show, and it was great because it was at the Marlow Theatre, which is like a big theatre, and they had like pros in it, and it was all very exciting for me. I'm 14 years old, and there's three guys they hired. I actually still know all of them, and they've all done really, really well to this day. Yeah. Philip Joel, Daniel, I can't remember his last name, and Joe Fletcher. And there's these 20-year-old lads, like super professional dancers, and I was like, oh man, they're pretty cool. And they were telling me throughout about you can do this professionally. At the time, obviously, I didn't really know you could do it professionally. I was from a small town. Like I knew you could be a famous, you could be a performer, but I didn't know what to do. We're from a small town, no idea. So I'm doing this show, these pros, it's going great. And we had a guest tutor in who was currently teaching at a professional college. And he spotted me and was like looking at this little mental guy, like tap dancing around. Like, hey,
He loves it. Yeah.
He was like, he loves it, but he should do some ballet. That's what he's thinking.
Okay,
So he just pulled my mum to one side after one of the rehearsals and said, listen, I think your son has got a lot of potential. Is it something he wants to do for a career? If it is, I would suggest that he goes and gets a bit of technique under his belt before going to apply for colleges. Obviously, my mum's there like, no idea what any of this is, but just taking it all in because my mum's amazing. That journey home, remember all very clearly again, like we talk about it. I'm like, oh my God, like when he was like, yeah, telling me about these colleges, I was like, oh my God. She's like, do you want to do this for a career? I was like, well, yeah, I get to do this. This is my choice, like for career. Yeah, absolutely. So found a guy, Mitch Rubin, who was amazing. I went to ballet with him like once a week on a Sunday just to like, and I mean, when I say got me up to scratch, like just got me up to scratch to try and audition. 15 years of age. Auditioned for all sorts of places, going on 16, you know, in year 11, and got offered a foundation year. I got offered a full place at 16 at another place of training, but I also got offered a year foundation course, and I was so young at the time, but obviously I was very eager, and again, long conversations with mum and things like that. It was like, right, what do you want to do? You're still really young. We can go for this 3-year one, potentially get a scholarship, or we can pay not much, to be fair, for what it was. I think it was not much money at all. Small amount of money. You go for a year, it's intense training. You then know what you want. And it didn't take me long to make the decision, I want to go. So I went to Bird College in Sidcup.
And do you still think that decision would be the right move for people
100%.
That age now?
It was the right decision for me, but just looking at the landscape of that age group right now, again, it's hard because you look at it from your perspective, right? I know where my head was at that time. I know my maturity level. I know what I wanted. But my suggestion would always be at 16, even if it's a year. A lot of people think they have to do 2 years, maybe go to a college. But I think if you can get a year of that professional, hard training, intense training to really make you realise what it's like, do it. Because then, if you get to 17, you've not paid much money, you've had a year of incredible training at a professional college, that, you know, that's good. That goes a long way. Yeah. And you're only 17 if you decide you want to do something else. You've got like so far ahead of you. I'd suggest people absolutely to look into doing a foundation course.
So you went to Bird?
Went to Bird.
Yeah.
Did the foundation course.
Yeah.
And again, interesting, that was because, you know, you're at the college, you're in the college, but none of you have still got onto the full 3-year course, which is quite competitive as well, still is. And especially because unless you're doing the degree, which you can get student funding for the diploma, you needed a scholarship, which at the time, again, I don't know the landscape of it now, especially with current times and even with who's in power. The arts is not as supported as certain other people in power. So when I auditioned, we had a thing called the Dada, which always sounds funny. Did you get Dada? Did you get Dada? It's a dance and drama award, and it's award, and it essentially covers your professional training. So the whole year was obviously quite intense because you're all training up to go and audition again to try and get these scholarships. So incredibly competitive, real culture shock for me, coming from a small town where I was very fortunate that generally everyone liked everyone. We got on. I had a small group of friends. There was no real unhealthy competition. Everything was very healthy. I was lucky. And I look back and always realise how fortunate I was with my school years and everything. And I went into this, you know, shark tank of competitive, hungry, creative, open people. So it was an intense year at that age to go from a small town to, and I was literally moved in with a police officer who just had a spare room. So I'm like cooking for myself, taking care of myself, training 5-6 days a week intensely. And then boom, very fortunate. Went to all my auditions again for various colleges this time. Was very fortunate to get offered some scholarships. And after, again, a bit of a toss-up, if I'm really honest with you at this point, it's a long way in the past. There was another college called Performance that I just really liked the energy when I went there. And Birds, and it was a real toss-up between the two. But I went with Bird, did 3 years there, had a good 3 years, intense 3 years. All sorts of things happened. You know, I was growing up as well, for goodness sake. You know, I only graduated at 20. I mean, it's still so young. So I went through all of that. I had a good 3 years, tough 3 years. Third year is always the hardest. and then graduated,
and then moved on.
and then that was it. And then it was the professional life. So that was a very long, drawn out version of where I am now. And that's only me kind of talking about just the baseline of training and the kind of work maybe I had to put in to get there.
Well, it's incredible the amount you have to put in to achieve what you've done in this industry. In things like in my past where I've been gigging, we spent a lot of time on tour and things like that. But yours sounds like it was around the clock, all throughout the year, training 5-6 days a week. Yeah, well, obviously you can tell.
Yeah, I mean that is.
You can tell you've worked hard because you've managed to be able to get these jobs that seem like a dream for a lot of people.
Absolutely, I think again I'm fortunate that my mindset when I was at college, and actually this is where I think being younger wasn't the worst thing in the world when I was at college, because I was a younger one. I couldn't go out. I wasn't massively into alcohol anyway, so wasn't tempted to go out drinking. You know, I didn't do any drugs, anything like that. I was very clean cut at college, and I think I was again fortunate because of where I came from. I went to college always with the mindset of, I'm here. This is work. This is not the play yet. This is work. I'm here to work. Yes, I'm going to be fortunate enough, hopefully, to make some good friends, have some great experiences outside of this. But you know, the government were paying for me to train. My mum was paying for my rent. I was working on the weekends to pay for anything extra if I could. I was there to work, and I knew that I could enjoy it when I had the job and when I was on the job. And even then I knew it wasn't the end of the work. You never stop. You never stop working. It's never got the job, sweet, I can relax now. It's constantly moving. But like I say, I just feel so fortunate with the timings of everything that's happened in my life. And don't get me wrong, plenty of negative things have happened, but always try and look on the bright side too. But
yeah, you've got to concentrate on what you want to achieve.
I think that's what it was. I knew what I wanted, Kit. I knew but again, I was fortunate. I never take any of this for advantage because I've seen, or for granted, because I've seen people very close to me and not close to me that don't know what they want, don't have a goal. And having a goal is everything, and to me, and I think to a lot of people. And I'm fortunate that throughout all of that process, I had a really clear goal, knew what I wanted. Generally, I knew what it took to get there.
What was the aim then? Was it West End shows? Was it lead roles?
The aim was that's the thing. And again, we can talk about why I know why I say things like agreeable and openness.
Yeah, we'll get into that later.
Because of the journey we've been on in the last year with self-improvement and diving into psychology. But again, with assessment, I think that my agreeableness meant that I just knew that hard work would get me to succeed in the goal of being a professional performer. It wasn't necessarily that I was like, I want to be the lead on the West End, because again, I knew, this could have been that I was too agreeable, perhaps, but I was almost telling myself, look, yeah, that's there, but it's not the immediate goal. The immediate goal right now is to train and to get the best all-round as you can, go out there, get your agent, get seen, and then let it flow. You know, I knew that it wasn't going to be a case of I go and audition and I'm going to get a lead. Well, also things like the way I looked, and I was only 20. I was such a young looking 20-year-old. I was still very, very, very slim. I looked very young. I looked even younger than I did. So I was always realistic.
There must be a lot of pressure on especially at that age, people going into that industry to make sure you make yourself look proper and keep in shape and all this.
Yeah, I mean, again, it depends. It depends, because I think it's always just important to try and stay healthy in your brain and your mind and your body if you can, and wherever that takes you. I think the added pressure of feeling like you need to look a certain way, I don't think that's necessarily true, because my first job, I saw absolutely not that. I saw a complete variation of shapes, sizes, backgrounds, even like abilities in the areas. You know, you didn't have it, not everyone was a prima ballerina. Like some people couldn't, some people couldn't tap. Like I think that certain projections are made, or certain things are projected onto students. And again, a lot of it is like like you say there, like that thing of a lot of people will go to that when you say you're in theatre. Oh, you need to stay in shape and you need to sit. And it's like, yeah, like it's good to say fit because of just if you look at the maths or the science of it all, you need to perform. You're going to need to be physical for this many nights a week. You're going to need to look after your body so you don't get ill and go off because of that. And maybe you need to make sure that you're not having, you're not drinking this much or you're trying to get as much sleep as you can, keeping your diet to a good thing, but still enjoying yourself and having a good life. And but there are roles. Theatre is life. It's meant to be life. It's meant to be, yes, an extension of real life. So the real life is not everyone is. It looks like they've just walked out of a men's fitness magazine or what have you.
Yeah, of course,
so and yeah, I think it's just important. And like I'll stress probably several times in this conversation, I do think it comes down to an individual analysis of just being honest with yourself and going, look, how do I feel? It's not, and I think it's less about how you look. I think truly it's about how you feel. Forget about how you look. When you wake up in the morning and you get up and you breathe and you drink a glass of water and you get moving, how do you feel? Are you aching? Do you have a headache? Always have a headache? Is something stopping you achieving that goal? And if it is, and if it can be changed by diet, routine, habits, then look for an option and see if you can. But do it for you and do it because individually you can tell yourself you're not feeling good. Because we all know, I know when I'm doing too much of stuff. Like I try my best to live in moderation because I feel like generally you can do most things as long as you're being careful and doing them in moderation and keeping them in a good value system, making sure you value the right things. But yeah, I know that seems like a deep question to keep it in shape, but that's a big thing that a lot, it's still a topic that floats around these days. That I think it's just important to, when you walk in that room for your audition, to know that you feel healthy and ready.
And the correct mindset.
Good mindset.
Clear, you're concentrating on that specific job.
Absolutely. And just being honest with yourself and just knowing and God, just again, leading on from this, just talking about going into the audition room as well. It's just again, being a bit more individual helps in those times. Really going into yourself a bit more, understanding that looking at what you've done, comparison is a thief of joy. If you compare yourself to people in that room, in the lead up, you can't. You have to just know, look, what have my peers told me I need to do? What has worked for other successful people?
Do you think having a unique sort of style helps you get roles?
I think it helps to have helps to have a unique energy, but that, I guess you'll never know. You don't know.
Yeah.
If you have a unique energy, you can never describe that or know that. I think it's important to be strong. I think I've worked hard. I think I formed good relationships. I actually think that it was the longest bout of auditions you'll have generally will be when you get out of college, because it's people want to see you, cast directors want to see you. They might get you in for one show and be like, oh, he's not right for this show, but he'd be great for this, and it's all about building it up. So once you get into that first job, it's then about building the right relationships, performing well, being professional, and I'm telling you that goes a long way. It might not kick in for a while, you might not feel it. You'll do a few jobs and you'll be like working, and then all of a sudden something will happen and you'll be like, that's why I've gotten that, or I've done that, or oh God, I'm glad I really kept my head down and was professional and worked hard in that job, because it's paid off now.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah. So you were going to auditions.
Got some water.
Of course, mate. Did you get an agent before you got into any bigger roles, or were you doing smaller, like maybe week shows and?
So generally, when you're coming out of, again, where I was fortunate with the platform that I had, you're guided. So we had an agent showcase. We had a show.
Cool. Yeah.
Generally, it's a good idea if you're looking to go in the route that I did to get an agent, if you can. And there are so many great agents as well. And again, that like not was made out to be, but seemed like such a stressful situation at the time. But isn't that stressful? Like, I'm very, very fortunate with my agent. We have a really, really good relationship. I feel like we've got a good mix of business and let's say business and pleasure. Yeah. I don't know if you're watching. No, business and just friendship. I think because look, at the end of the day, when you spent that much time with someone, you've been through ups and downs of auditions and jobs and getting jobs and negotiating, you're going to form a friendship.
Yeah,
you're going to form a relationship.
I've met Adam.
Yeah, you have met Adam.
Yeah,
he's
I met him at the Avita press night.
Yes, Avita. Yeah, he was there, man. He was there.
Yeah, he's
you
a
won't
cool
talk
guy.
about that press night too much.
Yeah, no, we won't talk about that. Jesus
obvious
Christ.
reasons.
Yeah,
yeah.
it was good. I met one of the judges off Strictly as well.
You did.
Yeah,
you did.
yeah.
Was it Gino? Not Gino.
No,
Bruno
Tognoli.
Tognoli. Yeah, what a lad.
What a nice guy.
Lad. What a nice guy.
That was
I can't remember what you asked me. That was a great night.
I enjoyed that night. I know
the show was great. It wasn't. Yeah, but we definitely won't talk about that.
Okay. I've already been told off for talking about some things. So.
No. Like,
So.
it's more. Listen, if we're going to talk about a situation that involves someone that isn't here to defend themselves, then we
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and that's why I wouldn't.
Yeah, because
I'm
going to be biased, aren't I? So
yeah. So the first big show you got into, what would you say? I keep saying big show. But
Shrek, because I did a workshop of a musical for 8 weeks straight out of college, well, like 2 weeks after college. Went up to Scotland and did that, and that was amazing because number one, it was just amazing for so many reasons. The money actually was fantastic considering it was a workshop. Like in comparison to today, and that's something we can absolutely touch on is the money in our industry. Is that that money for a workshop back then 6-7 years ago is not dissimilar to the money that you get for just an ensemble in a show now. So it's still a long way to go, I think, with the money and stuff. But
yeah,
we'll touch on that another time. But sorry, first big show. Yeah, so I did Jackie. That was great. That was the name of the workshop. I met Ben Goddard on that, who was brilliant, and Dan De Cruz, who was amazing on that as well. And then I got Shrek, and that was the start of the best 2 years of my life, mate. Yeah, oh God, it was just. And everyone, and if anyone's watching this, I hope that someone might watch this as well from the Shrek fam. I'm going to post this to Idris anyway. But I mean that's both years. But something about that tour. I don't know if it was. I feel like it was a lot of our first tour. I definitely wasn't everyone's first job. We had some really experienced people on the job, but we just formed an amazing relationship. Like we just had such a good time. The energy was always good. I can't tell you any negatives from that whole 2 years of that tour. I'm gonna have to put my jumper on because I'm getting chilly.
Yeah, that's cool. So the situation with Shrek, you were travelling around different cities. How long were you sort of in each?
Yeah, so it varied from like between 3 to 6 weeks, depending on, I don't know, I guess the venue, the size of the venue, perhaps. I guess how much the marketing team thought they were going to sell.
That's a new experience for you.
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah, it was new. Yeah. It was new, but again, it was brilliant. First big job. I was able to travel the whole of the UK and do Ireland. We did Belfast and Dublin. Made just the best friends, like close friends. Shared just amazing journeys. Like Idris, Rory. I'm just gonna shout some people out. Idris, Rory, Nikki, Jen, Kev, Ryan, Candy, Will, like Neil, Jimmy, Stefan, Leo. I've probably forgotten loads of people, sorry.
The original 13.
There's so many people. But like just everyone was great. It was such a perfect balance of personalities. Everyone was so supportive. Massive shout out to Jen Caldwell. For someone that never forget the first time ever I was on as a swing as well. So that's an I guess that's a cool thing.
Yeah, let's talk about swings because you've told me about how the extra responsibilities you have as a swing. Yeah,
it's pretty mad.
Yeah, it sounds ridiculous to me.
It's also funny when you tell someone I'm a swing in a show because they go,
"Oh yeah, okay.
What do you do in the show?" I'm like,
"A fun show."
It's no way.
Yeah. But it's unfathomable how like having one part must be hard enough.
Yeah,
but have you explain what a swing is?
So a swing. So in musical theatre, in shows, stage shows, everyone generally knows what an understudy is. And the word understudy will generally come as a parenthesis to a main role. So like you're understudy to the lead. Whereas you do have an ensemble as well. So you've got like 10 ensemble members. And they need understudies too because we get ill too. And that generally you'll have 1 or 2 people within the cast. They might be off stage the whole time, ready to come on, or they might also be part of the show and cover. But essentially you learn all of those ensemble tracks. So in Shrek, there was me and a guy called Jay, and we shared maybe like 12 tracks or 10 tracks between us. So at the drop of a hat, and I mean literally I think the first time I went on, I had 5 minutes warning before the curtain went up. You could be on for any one of those 5 people, and you have to do their entire show. So their harmony line, all their costume, wig changes, makeup changes, choreography, lines, everything at the drop of a hat. So there I was, you know. This is actually a really good. I'm pretty sure it was the first time. Not necessarily the first time I went on, but the first time I went on for a big, like a really complicated track. And it was that our Lord Farquaad went off. Now, my really good friend, that's hilarious, our Lord Farquaad was ill. But my really good friend, Jack Conway, who's he was assistant stage manager at the time. We were really good friends. He's from Dover, actually. And you've met Conway. And because he knew I was a swing and it's my first time and we had really good relationship, he used to come in, knock on my door, Leeds, first venue, knock on my door. Ollie, mate, so-and-so's gone off. I'd be like, I got you every time. He'd be like, Ollie, mate, oh, so-and-so's limping in the corridor. I'd be like, don't do this to me. It's only half. So he's done that a few times to me, right?
Yeah.
So you're thinking, whatever. 5 minutes till the show opens. So I'm in swing mode now. So I get my laptop out, looking over a few bits and bobs, got a bit of music playing. I'm in my slippers, like Jack comes, Ollie, mate, Jez has gone off. You got 5 minutes. You're on. I went, I went, shut up, mate. Nice one. 5 minutes. Yeah, all right. He was like, no, mate. 5 minutes. Leeds.
Your Lord Farquaad.
Like 2,000 people in the audience right now. You're on as Steph. And I was like, all right, mate. And then boom, I was on as Stefan, who was like captain of the guard and one of the pigs. No, he wasn't captain. He was like one of the pigs. Yeah, and captain of the guard said all these like little extra lines, and he was a top tenor pig. So in the big lines, they blew our houses down. You kind of have to pick it out of thin air. Yeah. So there I was, like as a German pig, trying to pick out my harmony.
Yeah.
And my God, I mean, the whole thing was a blur. But back to Jen Caldwell, who saved me. She was just perfect at like, she'd over here, like during the number, she'd be like, if I was slightly off, she'd like never show that she was breaking character. She'd be like, just here, babe. Yeah, great. That's it. Now we're going to go over here. All right, great. She was fantastic. So yeah, that whole cast, that shows everything really, how supportive they were for that first performance. And that was my first time on. And I was a swing for like 3 or 4. I've been a swing about 3, 4, 5 times. Each one just feels like a different experience, one show I was the only guy covering, I think, 9 guys, and that was just an absolute mindfuck.
Which show was that?
That was Evita.
That was Evita.
Yeah, that was crazy, and it was all on stairs as well. Mm-hmm. So all the choreography, it wasn't just stage left to stage right, up stage, down stage. It was step 4 to step 7 to white marker to this.
And that was some crazy like Latin American dance sequences going on.
It was really quite like heavily, quite commercial is what you say. So it's quite heavily commercial based, inspired by some cultures of the Argentinian history, I guess. But it was intense. It was cardiovascular.
Yeah, there was no stopping. No
fast twitch, like no stopping. Huge long numbers. It was that whole show, that whole experience was, again, a roller coaster, a real roller coaster. The one show that I say was blood, sweat and tears. Like it was blood, sweat and tears. Yeah. And I know it seems, from the outside, perhaps it can seem, to create a musical, it can seem a bit absurd that you say blood, sweat and tears. But believe me, behind the scenes, like there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and it's tough. It's not always really tough, but that one was a toughie. Okay. It was a big learning curve, massive learning curve. Yeah.
So run us through some other shows you've done. We've got Mamma Mia.
Mamma Mia. That was a right laugh. That was just such a fun time.
We went to Amsterdam. And you were going on. You'd give us a little call. Say, "Oh boys, I'm just getting a little top up on my tan."
Yeah. I'd have to go and get a bloody fake tan done because
what the hell is he doing?
Exactly. Yeah. But it was just that with that show you had to have a tan. If you didn't, you ask anyone, you didn't have a tan. You're getting called into the office if you don't have a tan. Yeah, so you had to go and get fake tans and spray tan. I got pro at doing the old fake tan but that was fun. That was a year, and again a time in my life where I'd just come out of quite a long-term relationship, and I was very much ready to just be a bit frivolous with, and not as in promiscuous. It wasn't even on my mind. It was more just for myself, like spending my own money, going on holidays, not being so orderly with everything I was doing, because I had been for like the last 3 years, and I hadn't really got to where I wanted to by being that way. So Mamma Mia was perfect because a fantastic group of people on the job. It was a fun show to be in. You know, you're not gonna. Whereas like Funny Girl was an amazing show, but it's quite an intense show. You can come out of it feeling quite drained because of the emotion that's involved.
Yeah.
But whereas Mamma Mia, I mean, it's just the
Yeah,
mega
it's
mix.
got a right laugh.
You come off and you're like, right, lads, we're going out. Like it was fun. It was fun.
You mentioned Funny Girl.
Funny Girl, yeah.
Did that twice?
Yeah, so I did that in at the Savoy with in like 2015 maybe 16. God no, way later than that, maybe like 17, 18 with Sheridan Smith, and I did that for 6 months, and that was good. Again, roller coaster of emotions. A lot happened backstage, on stage, but still an unbelievable show, and I think the outcome was always good. But a tough one. I was first time doing West End, first time living in London properly, you know, doing it. Didn't do it all right. Learned a lot of lessons. But again, just learned a lot of lessons. And with all of these experiences, any negative experience, it just sets you up to make the right decision.
Of course, yeah, it improves you for further on down the line. And then you did it again in Paris.
I did it again in Paris, and that was amazing. That was so good. That was
I met the love of my life.
You met the love of your life.
Yeah.
Who I happen to be.
Yeah, we were me and our friend Seagull. We went over to Paris and saw one of the valets, and she said, "Oh, bonsoir." I was like, oh,
you fell in love, mate.
She's incredible. So I messaged you.
Yeah.
I went, oh my God, Ollie, I've fallen in love with one of the valets.
Yeah.
Oh, and you went, this one? Oh yeah, I'm dating her, mate. Sorry.
Jesus.
No.
Oh yeah.
No.
She was great. She's a really wonderful person, and we had a great time in Paris. Everyone treated us amazingly. The show was great. And that all led up to me really coming back here, and and again the cast, like, you want to talk about someone that I'd heard about. Someone, I say that like no one knows him. Everyone in the industry knows Stephen Mear because he's a legend. But you know, you hear a lot about someone before you meet them, and you take it with a pinch of salt. But he is everything. He's perfect balance of professional, kind, warm, but also assertive and just so much respect, you know, and he gives you that respect, and you get it, you get it back. So, you give it back. Sorry. So he was great. He and the whole cast again, really great bunch of people. Like met Josh, Ben, Matt on that. The girls were amazing. Like had my Charlie's Angels, which were my they were my they were just three amazing women. Jess, Emma and Gabby, that all just, I'd go and be like, right, ladies, I'm going through this problem, help me out. And they'd be like, we'll help you out. So they're brilliant. It was great. It was a really good time.
Should we talk about what's coming up next, and then we'll move on to other stuff?
Yeah, mate, sure, bro.
So, you've got a new musical.
Man,
in the West End.
Fortunate, dude. Yeah.
Starting in July?
Rehearsals start in July. We open August 21st. And
the musical is called
Back to the Future. Yeah, it's wow. Oh man, I'm so excited. I genuinely feel #blessed. I know everyone says that.
Yeah,
I know, but it's the only thing I can think of. I really do.
How long's it been?
Well, by the time I get back in the room, like back in the rehearsal room, I did actually give a little shout out if that's okay. Last year, if you remember, I did an amazing workshop style musical for my friend Natasha Mould, who's putting together a brand new musical. It's called 2020 the Musical, and it's awesome. And I did like the workshop thing for Natasha, and that was amazing. So technically, I did that, but that was only like 4 weeks total. I don't even know if it was 4 weeks. So. Yeah, a bit of rehearsals, you know, a bit of the itch back, getting on the stage, but properly into it.
Yeah.
Not since March 2020. So it would have been a year and a half about that. Yeah.
Wow.
And in that year and a half, I've been working full time in a care home. So
Yeah.
it's been...
It's not been too different.
It's been pretty much the same, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah.
Like I come in, it's warm
Yeah.
up with the guys, show's on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be...
It sounds like it's going
I
to
don't
be
know,
fun.
control my emotions. Yeah, it's going to be really fun. The music's awesome. The people, again, I'm working with are awesome. Touching on something we talked about earlier with how forming good relationships, I feel like has helped me. Well, just will help me in this gig because I'm working with people I've worked with really successfully before, and some just wonderfully creative people like Rich Fitch, who is our director, and he's just he's awesome. So I can't wait to work with him again. Gonna be great. Gonna be really good. I just don't know what. That's me. I don't know what. It's been so long since
the lines through it. I don't know how it works.
No,
Do you
so
know music?
generally you don't get. No, I haven't got anything through yet. You'll get them. To be honest, if I requested it, I might be able to get it through. But they might still be doing work on it. You just never know. They might want to change things right up until the point. But I'm assistant dance captain as well for the first time. So what that means is I'm assistant dance captain. So the dance captain will look after the show when it's up and running. When maybe the choreographer has more of a watchful eye over, so they'll come back and see. And the dance captain will keep things in shape and up to scratch.
Cool.
And cut shows if needs be, and all this. So it's a lot of responsibility, and I'm going to be the assistant. So I'm very much just going to be there, taking it all in, happy to provide the dance captain with whatever they need, but learning from that experience with the hope to be in that position at some point. But that's a new responsibility, and one that I'm really excited about. And then I'm covering one of the parts called Biff, who, if you've seen Back to the Future, who's like the big bully guy. Yeah. So that's, again, a character, like I haven't been able to play a character like that, like a real bully character. So that'd be great to get on for that. And I'm swinging again. So it's going to be a
little swinger,
a big old mindfuck. So, But one I'm looking forward to, look, if there's any time that I'd want to have a lot on my plate and just fill my brain up with things to think about, it's going to be after we've had 15 months of nothing.
Well, how have you been filling your time other than the care work?
Well, mate, we've shared our year together, really, haven't we? And I feel like
it's been emotional.
It has been. It really has been.
Yeah.
It's been.
And physical. Recently.
It's been physical recently, yeah. I mean, I put the jumper on now, but no, I mean, I put on 5 pounds, but it feels great. But yeah, it's. Well, it all started with, for me, this is where I was at, mentally, getting a bit transparent now, getting deep, guys. I had been a relationship guy since I was very young. I went up to college, and at 17 got in a relationship. And since then, I've been fortunate to have good relationships, 2 years, 5 years, 2 years, 2 years. But the latest relationship came to an end just before we talked about when I went to Paris, like sort of midway near the end of 2019. And it's the first time really that I've given myself time to be alone. And some of that has been forced, but where we went into lockdown, if you were abiding by the rules, it's very hard to meet anyone. So to actually have that kind of forced upon me, in hindsight, is exactly what I needed, because in the past, I have had successful relationships and learned a hell of a lot, and I don't regret anything. But I never took time to think about where I'm at, what I want, like even what I want in just what I want in the relationship, what I want from life, what these relationships mean to me, what sex means to me, what all of these things. I had forced time to sit down and go, right. And I even had, some old memories, maybe some trauma, because like I say, fortunately I'd had very good relationships and learned a hell of a lot. Unfortunately, the most recent one, I'd say, there were the most battles mentally, and it left me with some trauma. That's me being very open. And that sounds like a lot, right? It sounds really big, trauma. It sounds like a big word, but a small scale. But some senses of betrayal. I wasn't cheated on, but betrayal can be across the board. But this is upon me sort of sitting down in quiet, in time, not working, not moving 100 miles an hour, on my own, single. And I was like, right. And I think I started assessing it all myself and then realised that I maybe needed a guide. And actually a friend of mine, Simon Barber, and I'll link this to him, he actually just started messaging me. And just, we hadn't talked for ages. He just sent me a message kind of out of nowhere, and we just started chatting, and it's kind of a beautiful story, but he introduced me to Stoicism. He was like, I just think, he just started sending me this stuff, and I was like, dude, this is all really, really cool.
Yeah.
So I started watching these videos on Marcus Aurelius, who is like the last good Roman emperor, who published his journal, essentially. Well, he didn't publish it. It was published after his death, of his journal of meditations. And he practiced Stoicism, which is a philosophy that stems from ancient Greece. Socrates, these are some of the people you might have heard of. And you may have heard of the term being Stoic. And at first I was like, oh, I'm not sure, especially with just the term being Stoic. You just think someone's described as Stoic, they're just generally a bit moody. Right though, you know, he's a bit stoic. He's just always got a Stella in his hand and he's stoic, you know. And you think, oh God, I don't want to be stoic. But now all I strive to be is stoic. Yeah. And I just started opening my eyes to these incredible thoughts, quotes, philosophical ideas of being indifferent to what makes no difference. Yeah. Learning what stands in the way becomes the way, which for me is just one of the biggest ones for me. It's so much in my life when you look back. And it's more that all of these philosophical statements started relating to everything I'd been through, or making sense of everything that I was going through, or discounting anything that I didn't need to think about. And it started off with Stoicism, and that really started to help me just rid of it started to help me rid of any past negative, unnecessary thoughts. I just didn't need to be there. It also helped me find strength within myself and an armour. I'd say it built an armour, but a good armour. Not an armour that kept people out, but an armour that was ready for any emotional situation. I'd say that was the best. Or ready for certain triggers that maybe would make me feel negative. I was ready for that. I felt like it was giving me an armour, and it still does. And then from there, I think just the journey of self-improvement started, because once you get onto one philosophical thing, especially with the wonder of YouTube nowadays,
they flow. You
just flow into one thing after another. And I've stumbled across Jordan Peterson, who has been a great help to me. I understand that name can be a bit of a trigger for some people, but what I would suggest is that a lot of people only know Jordan for his political stands,
and the more controversial stuff,
and the more controversial things that he's been a part of. Which, you know, if just a bar, you know, like it's like down here, everything that he's about is all here. So that isn't. I discount that somewhat. You know, it's interesting. But I look at his clinical psychology, clinical work, and his writing, and his ability to pull people from the depth of despair. And again, started listening to him. He just gave me so much drive and understanding of how we're working, of why I was reacting like I was in business scenarios, in personal situations, learning about why perhaps I was struggling in business scenarios with men. Right? With assertive men. I didn't know that, but then by learning, because of my past, I was maybe slightly more agreeable because of encountering negative, aggressive men when I was younger. And therefore, if I'm then, even though, like, what's the worst that can happen? That subconscious thought of when I engage with someone who's slightly more aggressive, I was giving in, I was being too agreeable, I wasn't getting what I wanted, I was sacrificing myself to anyone.
That's one of the things I found with Peterson as well. It allows you to evaluate your own personality. Yeah. And once you're aware of why you are like a certain way and what way you are like without being aware, you can then combat it and change not necessarily change, but make situations become a lot easier. If you feel a certain way in a certain situation, you can go, okay, well, this is why. Yeah. And then already you're a bit calmer about you're calmer about the situation.
I completely agree. I think it comes with understanding. And I think that's what it is. It's understanding yourself. Going back to something I said earlier, I think being honest with yourself, really being honest with yourself. I also like stemming off that as well. And where I feel fortunate with my, I guess you could say my exploration into self-improvement over the last years, I've touched on various different people. And I think that's important as well, that you don't have to find one philosophy and be like, I am. Like, for example, I could have found Stoicism and been like, that is it. I'm just abiding by Stoicism. And it may have worked in certain situations, but there are some parts of Stoicism that I don't feel fit into my creative pattern of thinking. You know, I feel like they actually shut off me being a bit creative. So I think if you can find,
finding a balance of different approaches.
Finding maybe looking at some spiritual approaches as well. And so I looked at Eckhart Tolle and being present. Sorry, guys. Oh, that Coca-Cola. Eckhart Tolle and being present and recognizing the voice in your head and how a lot of the time it's talking a load of crap and all of that really just helped me to understand the importance of routine for me, of temperament, and of predominantly sieving through my thoughts, or tasting my thoughts with a more knowledgeable palate. That's the best way I can describe it. You know, I'm sifting through things, but they're not just going by the wayside anymore. I'm going, okay. And a good example of that is just, I think, being indifferent to what makes no difference. It sounds so simple, and it isn't as easy as that. And like with these philosophies as well, with these mindsets, it isn't something you can just read one day and think once one day and it's going to work for you. It is something that you have to think about every day, and you have to teach yourself, your brain. You have to train your brain as well as your body. You have to take your brain to the gym every day, because if you don't, it can quite easily fall off again. I felt it myself. You know, when we hit that tier 4 in November, and you know, I had these plans again of goals, and I set myself goals of going to the gym and doing this, and everything was set out for me to be comfortable, and then it all got taken away again, and that was really hard. And I felt I'd lost a bit in my philosophy again. I wasn't thinking about those things as much every day because things felt better. But suddenly when something goes wrong, that's where it's important to have an armor, and that's where this last year I feel has meant that I've got this armor now that I'd never had before. It's
interesting that you call it an armor.
Yeah, it feels like an armor, but not necessarily an armor to keep out everything. It's just an armor with an armor and a sword. You're ready for battle. I feel like I'm just ready to battle, because for me it is not for everyone. It isn't a battle, but for me, some days it is a battle.
So would it be like a confidence thing, like an increase in confidence? Because the way I view confidence now is like an openness to be vulnerable, I guess.
Well, see, I think I was very open to be vulnerable. I actually think my confidence, I think I'm fortunate, it's never been a problem. I'm extremely confident socially, and mine's all internal. It's never what anyone else thinks. It's an internal thing of, Ollie, you're not doing enough. You know, it's always been more of an internal struggle, and that perfectionist, that never feeling satisfied. But that's where, again, with analysis over time, I've realised that that's just the way my brain's worked, and that's because of my creative brain, and that being physical helps slow that down, and sweating and being slightly more orderly, and you know, it's just
and being aware of
learning
this,
how you work.
Like I said, being aware of this, you can kind of analyse why you subconsciously or unconsciously got into musical theatre. Yeah, because you are on stage portraying something outwardly confident. You're not having to show you to anyone, are you? I think that's a difference. That's why, I know it sounds crazy, but I find I'm not nervous, but let's just say I'm way more comfortable on a stage in front of 2,000 people playing a part than I am talking on a podcast being me. Because I also feel like when you're a character, people can give you constructive criticism, and people can break you down, but they're breaking down the character, they're not breaking you down. Yeah, I suppose they can, to an extent they can judge how well you play the character, but really they are analysing the character that's being played. I completely understand that.
And obviously, like, some of that does come with your talent, I guess, but then talent in art, I think, is
talent's a strange
blurry line, because art is all perception, so it's hard to measure talent. But I mean, in acting, talent for me on a really basic level would be: do I believe you? Do I believe this story you're telling? And if I don't, then that might be partly my fault, but that also might be partly that you're not quite grasping it.
That seems quite like binary to me. So it's like good actor or bad actor.
Yeah.
Where you can have levels of good actor.
Mm-hmm.
Like we watched Split.
James McAvoy.
Yeah,
Just
and I watched that for the
unbelievable.
first time like a month ago or whatever,
So good.
and it blew my mind because
So
you do
good.
you are convinced it's a different act. I mean, it looks the same obviously
Yeah.
because he's playing different parts, but
Yeah.
well, he's playing one part, but it's like he is more than one actor.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
It's bizarre.
That's just how good. That's how good he is. But
Yeah.
I think also, like, to touch on that, you can also have people that are incredible theatre actors that perhaps just doesn't translate onto TV, and vice versa. You can have people that have made incredible fame on television or through commercial fame, let's say, and come into theatre and just really struggle because it's just a different beast, you know.
Yeah.
It's very different.
Do you think it's easy to cross over? Well, do you think it's hard to cross over from musical theatre to say TV?
Yeah,
or?
for sure. Again, a lot of that I feel is shrouded by perception. Like, I feel like we're fed these notions, and you, including myself, like, you know, if you're in musical theatre, it's going to take this long to get into TV. You need to do this. You're not going to get it because of this, and da-da-da. And it's like, okay, cool. But also there are people that I know that hasn't been the case, you know, that have gone to, and again, that can be scenario, circumstance, who you know, right place, right time. I think, but yeah, as a general, of course it's harder. And again, I don't feel like you can blame TV cast and not blame TV cast directors, but saying that, I, you know, only have musical theatre on my CV currently, and I've been very fortunate to be called in several times for TV things this year. So yeah, I think it depends when if you can get in the door. It's hard to maybe get in the door, but again, that's where in your career, your process of your agent and people like, and being proactive during the jobs you're in, like Adam, and again, sacrifice for reward, like knowing things are going to pay off. Like Adam has brought people several times to watch me in shows, and it's never, sometimes it doesn't immediately pay off. Like, I'm sure he's brought someone from one of these TV shows. In fact, I can think of he has brought one of these people that I've been in for to a show probably 4 years ago, and they've remembered me.
Yeah.
Now I'm available to audition. Like, it's brilliant. Definitely it's harder, but I think it's actually harder in the sense of tuning in on that naturalistic acting. Screen and stage is just worlds apart.
Yeah.
It's like,
Is it more subtle?
just my
on
suggestion.
TV, or?
Just like my suggestion. My main bit of advice for someone that is doing a self tape that is predominantly from a musical theatre background would just be do as little as you can, facially, physically. Just do as little as you can. Start there and go and build up from there. And I was guilty of that. I'll never forget the first film thing I was in for, and it probably didn't help that it was like an American thing. So I was like, "Hey man, what's up?" Oh my god, Joe, like, what you up to?
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's not that. It's small. You know, you got to think they're going to be on one of these scenes. They might be just right up in your grill.
The whole setup's different. If you're on
Yeah.
stage and there's 2,000 people there, you've
Yeah.
got to exaggerate.
Up at the circle, they want to see that how you're feeling in this moment. And if you're giving me naturalist, minimal, close up acting, they're not going to get it.
Could be perceived as bland from up there.
Exactly. And in fact, I've had friends that have. Sorry, I keep fiddling, guys. In fact, I've had friends that have gone into shows and have had, feedback from their directors, basically being like, it's too naturalistic. We need more. You often get people to say you need more, which is wild. So that's why it is maybe harder. I think it's, if you're successful in TV, it's much easier to do the other way around, as we've seen.
It's easier to ramp up than it is to ramp
It's easy.
down.
It's easier to come over to musical theatre, I'd say. But again, it depends on your success in TV, because a lot of that may be your star power, your name. Because generally, because of the eyes on you on TV, they're going to gain more star power, more eyes on them. So if they fit into the part you're trying to cast, it's going to put bums on seats. I think that's another interesting perception as well. I think for a long time, I think you can see that from both ways. For a long time, you know, sometimes if a star was put into a show and perhaps they weren't, how can you say this? They weren't to the caliber that you would expect from, say, someone that's just trained 3 years hardcore at a college,
Yeah.
you know, or done various work after that and has this experience. But also, there are certain shows that without that star power, no bums are being put on seats. So actually, it's creating jobs. So that one person being in a show creates 30 jobs.
Yeah.
So I prefer to see it like that nowadays. I'm like, if Sheridan Smith wasn't the lead in Funny Girl at the Savoy, would we have been able to run for 6 months straight and sell out? I don't know. I don't think again, that comes with the name of the musical. It's just all a fighting game with like, is the musical a big enough name for us not to have a name in it? Or is the musical not popular enough that we need a name in it to get people to come to the musical? Okay. I think that's essentially.
And what are your experiences with celebrities within your...
Well, Shrek, we had Faye, who is now, I think, in Corrie or Emmerdale. Sorry, Faye. Corrie or Emmerdale. But Faye previously had done... she'd been very successful in musical theatre as well. She was on... I'm sure she was on something. But maybe not. Maybe Faye actually found TV art. Maybe... I think during it, she was on something. Faye had a name behind her, for sure.
Yeah.
But was extremely talented and perfect Fiona. She really was. So not really in Shrek. And then the year after, Dean was just who was Shrek, was just an incredibly established musical theatre man, ridiculously talented. And then Funny Girl, Sheridan Smith. Yeah, she was one of the most naturalistically impressive actors on stage I've seen. Won't touch on anymore.
Yeah. What about Matt Lucas? What was Matt Lucas?
Matt Lucas is a gem. He's a gem. Yeah, he was great. He was great. He's hilarious. Really kind. Really kind. Yeah, just a nice guy and fun. Just really funny. Yeah. Like he just is. He just is, man. He's just funny. But yeah, again, really kind. Come and say hello. Come and mingle. Come have a chat. And it wasn't. You're just working with another person. But he was very good. Very good. Yeah.
Would you make the change to TV then, or would you always want to?
Listen, like again, that's the thing that people go. I'm thinking of going to TV. Yeah, like it's about the opportunities. I have to have evidence, for me to know that that's the right move. And I've been fortunate that in the last year, we have had a bit of evidence that maybe that door is opening. So I think we see. I'm going to really enjoy my time in musical theatre, work my ass off in that. In Back to the Future, work my ass off in that for a year and see how I feel and where we're at, where the world's at, where I'm at after a year in London. Because I think as well, I've had this incredible year of what feels like self-improvement mentally and building my armour up. But now it's going to be time to test that. I don't know how it's going to fare, and I don't know where my emotions are going to be, where my passions are going to be. Because another massive thing we haven't talked about, which I can't believe we haven't talked about,
MMA.
Fuck the musical theatre. Let's go to MMA. No. Yeah. But yeah, my massive passion for martial arts and boxing, and it's so high. So I mean, it's been high for like 6 years, but I always say this: like musical theatre, I adore the fundamentals of what I do, and I feel like I was born to move, to sing, to act. But I'm just so ridiculously passionate about MMA and jiu-jitsu. It annoys me. It blows my mind even how much I love it. But again, that comes from a lot of what we've just talked about with realising my agreeability. I've been doing it for a long time anyway, but really honing in on it. Doing boxing with Connor, shout out Connor Gorham. He's been my trainer for the last year. I feel like, you've seen my progression. I feel like I've progressed good.
Yeah, massively.
I've got some power there now and stuff. And like, I love to fight soon. And I love it. I love it. Just adore it.
When are you going to start competing?
Oh, mate,
you keep saying this. You keep saying this.
So to cut a long story short,
I want to see it happen.
Yeah. Cut a long story short, I did it when I was younger, alongside dancing for a few years. Realised that I can't spar really when I was that age because I need my face. So stopped. Went hard on the musical stuff. Always loved it though. Got into Shrek and then just ping. I started because I was on tour. I went and did an MMA class, and that was it. I was just in. I was in. And a friend of mine, Ian Matley on tour, was like, "Dude, check out this guy." And that was like 7 years ago now, and I don't think I've missed a fight card every weekend. Yeah. So yeah, I love it. I love the movement. I'm a white belt through and through, but boxing, I'd say, is my strongest point, along with maybe my kicking game, but it's hard to know. But I love jiu-jitsu.
Have you done any kickboxing training or like Muay Thai or anything?
I've done
like
kickbox. I did some karate. I did karate for 4 years.
Yeah.
So that is generally kick. Obviously, you do blitz. You come in and blitz, but generally it's a kicking game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's mixed martial arts is the game. It's a bit of a mix.
Those kicks are powerful.
Mate, they're a bit
They're scary
naughty,
kicks.
but that's from the years of dancing.
Especially when I'm holding pads.
Yeah.
Destroy my
the forearm
elbows.
breakers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would like. Again, that's the side of me that I think it's. I feel like generally I'm quite a soft soul. I wear my emotions on my sleeve.
But I think it's different when you get in the
mate, I've got
in the octagon.
Yeah, I've just got this fire inside of me, man.
Yeah.
I just there's something I find it all beautiful. Like it's not like I find it like aggressive or violent. No, I just find it beautiful. Like when someone can slip and counter, or grappling, flowing, going from side control, like beautifully going from side control to mount.
Well, it's like dance.
It is. It's exactly where that passion's
scary
come
dance.
From. But for me, that feeling of even sinking in like a body kick, like a full power body kick, or landing a question mark kick to the chin, like that for me, that idea of. That's where I go, bloody hell, my passion, because that idea, and more so, that idea of being in there and being completely content with being in it. I've got zero fears of being in a ring with any man within my weight class. Wait saying that, not mate. Any man. Listen, I'd have to fight. If I'm going to fight, it's going to be an amateur fight. And I would need to train really hard and intensely before the fight.
Well, we've spoken about when Khabib comes back.
I just want to clarify, guys, I'm a white belt. Because there'll be some people in the comments like, you think you're a hard lad. But if you do want to fight me, I'm 155 pounds. So I will also fight you.
Yeah, we've spoken about Khabib's comeback fight. You're going to take him on.
He always jokes at me like, you always
happen.
joke at me like, so when Khabib comes back, you're going to are you kidding me, mate? I've never even done an amateur MMA
Imagine
never
if for some reason Khabib saw you in Back to the Future.
Why would Khabib? I like to go see Back to the Future. I like this musical. We must go. I smash and then I go to see musical.
Yeah, and then in the programme it says like you're an MMA
enthusiast.
Yeah. And he says, I'll take him on for my 30th. And then you beat him. Imagine that if you beat Khabib.
Mate, I mean, listen, Khabib, I know you're going to be watching this. No way. That would be hilarious.
But yeah, that fire you've got for MMA.
Yeah.
That is how I feel about poker.
Mate, let's talk a bit about you then, you slag.
Well,
sorry, he's not a slag.
It is my show, so
let's talk a bit about you, mate. Let's talk a bit about how.
We went to Portsmouth the other day, and it was
I'm just so proud of you, mate, really, because everyone I meet and will always just big you up, and I'm always like, so my friend Kit, like he's currently semi-pro, but I mean he's going to be pro.
Well, hopefully one day.
Yeah.
Well, I just love it. It's just the game being in the thought process, analysing people, trying to remember things. I've really struggled on. When did we go? Wednesday or Thursday?
Thursday. Yeah. You did so well, though. You did so well in that tournament.
I just expended so much energy in the first 4 or 5 hours. But by the time we got to the final table, it was like I was making decisions without really thinking things through massively.
Well, comparing it to a fight, you had an adrenaline dump in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
So then in the last 3 rounds, you were just like slogging out, calling with King A. Oh, shit. But mate, you first time back in how long for you? At the table?
What, tournaments?
Yeah.
Well, since March 2020.
So 16, 17 months, whatever.
Yeah.
First time back, new people, new situation. You got plastic things here.
Yeah.
I think
Knobhead in seat one.
Knobhead in seat one.
Yeah.
I think you did brilliantly. I think you did so well. And I think your results speak for themselves, really. I don't think... For me, it's clear. You've gone up there.
Well, I just even without the result, obviously you can't win every game. Well, I didn't win that game, but it's just the joy of playing, being able to, like you say, with the hitting a question mark kick in the chin like that.
Yeah.
I compare that to like deducing someone's range, comparing it to your range, and then making a proper specific bet size on the turn and managing to bluff them off.
Yeah.
Like top pair or something, and it just gets me.
It's beautiful though, right?
Yeah.
Because especially when you go through that whole process of doing that and it's worked, that's when you go, It's just seeing everything you put in work as well, I think. But I have absolutely no doubt that I see you really going far with the poker.
I hope so.
And for anyone watching that maybe thinks, because a lot of people when they hear poker are just going to think it's a gambling thing. Like a lot of people will just think, oh, that's like roulette or that's blackjack. It is predominantly a skill based game and a mathematical and skill based game.
Not
predominantly,
term,
but it's actually long term. I think it is probably
the whole aim whilst you're playing, I'd say, is to make moves that are long term positive, say expected value, but like a positive decision long term. So you could make the same move 100 times, because of the quite large luck element in poker. You might lose it 40 times, but the point is, because you've done it over a long period of time, you're going to be profitable.
It's about
and
being profitable.
that's it with every decision. But going back to you, the poker, where did poker all start for me?
Where did poker all start for you?
It was the home games.
Yeah,
it was the home games.
That's crazy as well, to think that one of your main passions has stemmed from the fact that my brother generally
taught me how to play poker when I was 13.
When you were like 13, whatever it was, whenever you guys started coming. But we used to have home games at our house every week. We've got to do another one soon. We've got to do another one now. We can.
4 years.
4 years, mate. Yeah, they're some of my fondest memories, really, of us doing that, and the fact that I managed to still come to so many, but I was always away. I was always on tour, but it would always be literally, I'd come back from tour and it would be like poker night. It was insane.
And we did our little TPTs, the Test of Poker
the Test
tours.
of Poker tour. I think we should pick that up again this summer.
I think so. You've been a single man.
I will not go out with you. No, I'm joking. So,
I've asked over and over again.
Stop asking.
But yeah, how did that change your perception of relationships?
Yeah, I think it showed me a lot of value in... No, I was able to put value on things within relationships and decide what really was important, what I wanted from a relationship. Because, as I maybe mentioned previously before, it had been one of those things where a relationship had ended. I had just kind of been doing me, not attempting to do anything else to find someone else, but very quickly that I've got into another relationship. It's rarely been a long, or at least a better way to put it would be that after the relationship, the first person that I had a connection with, in that sense, I would end up being in a relationship with them. Yeah. So having that forced time away, obviously, I definitely it comes with growing up as well, right? But I definitely know now that I yearn for a great relationship. I know that when I commit to something now, I'm committing to it for real. I really want this, and best way I can describe it is, I don't want to make a paper mache house, metaphorically, of my relationship. I want to build an empire. And I feel like if you can see it that way in the relationship, if you're making paper mache, it's just going to crush. If just something goes wrong, something comes apart, the whole thing's ruined. Whereas with an empire, bricks are going to fall, like people are going to fall, but it still keeps building, and you work together and you build it together. I know empire seems a bit strong. I don't want to take over the world with my relationship. Yeah. But I think learning the importance of conversation, of transparency, of knowing that things aren't going to be perfect, and not sweeping things under the rug. If there's anything going on, Jordan's helped me massively with Jordan Peterson with the relationship advice. Communication is key, and it's not that I've been terrible at these things before. It's just understanding these things, taking a step back, seeing as a relationship as a journey. It's a journey, and there's going to be bumps. There's always going to be bumps, but I think it almost excites me to be in a relationship where we can get over those bumps and form something quite beautiful, and just the perception of sex as well, what sex means to me. I think I've realised that I'm not a one night standy guy. It's never been in my it's never been something I've yearned to do, but I've also realised that it's important to me that it's with someone I trust, and more so it's beautiful when you're with someone that you completely trust, and you can have this experience together.
Of course, yeah.
It just adds to it. I'm trying to explain it in the best way.
Well, I do see where you're coming from. I can't remember who said it, but something along the lines with the more people you sleep with, the more alone you are. And I guess that relates to taking out when you're comfortable with someone, when you know exactly who they are, you're having a meaningful relationship with them. I mean, sex is always better in a long-term relationship than it is on a one-night stand. So I do see where you're coming from. So you value a long-term meaningful relationship more.
It's more that I'm going to be more disagreeable, I guess, in the sense of finding what I want. And that's not... And it's also, I guess... I'm going to look for it in a sense because it's good to want to have a healthy relationship. But also I'd love it to happen organically, but that's also a hard ask. But things like I'm not on dating apps and it's not that I'm against them. I think they're brilliant. And I think that people have had major success. Friends of mine are now engaged, and they've met on dating apps. But I don't know.
I've never got my head around dating. I've never been on Tinder or Hinge or anything like that.
Again, it's good, but
it takes away the...
I think it's
humanity
games.
Of things.
Potentially, I think
it's sort of like you're just scrolling through people's pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you have bios and shit like that, yeah. But you're not finding people in areas. So any relationship I've had, it's been through doing something I'm interested in. Mm-hmm. Find someone there. Yeah. Talk to them. Yeah. Oh, we're into the same thing. Brilliant. Yeah. And then it's not as simple as that, but it develops from there. Mm-hmm. Surely just seeing someone's picture and being like, oh, no. It just, I don't know, it still seems bizarre to me. I know probably 90% of people have been on Tinder and things like that, but I don't know, it's not something that...
I think it depends on what you're looking for, really. It depends where your morals are.
If you're just looking for a hookup or whatever.
Yeah, and I think...
which is fine if that's the route you want to go down.
Yeah.
But I guess that's not
if
really
that's
for
where
me
you're
anymore.
at. Again, it's just that's like we've just mentioned. I've analysed. I've had time away and forcefully as well, because even with dating apps in this time, I was working at a care home. I was abiding by the rules. I couldn't meet up with anyone physically, so it was just going to be across the phone and messaging calls. I'm not going to get across who I am, and I'm not going to really get a grips of who you are without us having that time together physically, feeling each other's energy, all that stuff. So I think, naturally, obviously it drew me away from them because I understand what I want. If I did just want to try and have some half-hearted encounters, then I'd go for it. But look, not saying that I couldn't meet my perfect woman on Hinge or Tinder. I'm sure I could, but it's right now. I'm also still aware and transparent with myself in the sense of I'm aware that I've still got a way to go. I'm still not. I'm very happy with where I am, but I'm not in any rush, and I'm really happy using this time to make sure that when I enter into a relationship, and it sounds like a selfish thing, but actually I feel like there is a side of it that's unselfish, because I want to be sure that when I do give my all to someone, it's my all. And that doesn't necessarily mean I have to not be flawed, because that's impossible. We're all flawed. That's another good thing to understand. Understand that you're flawed, and if someone can take on your flaws, understand them, brilliant. And I think it's just someone that I can share a journey with, someone that I can get excited with. And it's more that I cherish that, or I yearn for that way more than I yearn for a shag. I'm again fortunate where, because I've been in relationships for a long time, long relationships, I've had a lot of sex, and sex is great, but it's great when it's, now I've analysed it, it's only really what I want it to be when it's in that scenario. So and I'm fortunate that I didn't have to have sex with lots of women for that to happen. I haven't had lots of sexual partners, and and that's good. I haven't had to. But everyone is different. Everyone is different.
Course,
Everyone's wired differently, and people
you learn things through different ways.
But I for sure, I'm really excited, and that's not to say that when I feel like I've met the right person that I'm blind to the fact that things can still go wrong. That's life. That's nature. That's chaos and order.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my armor's for. That's what I'm saying. It's all about just doing it and being ready for whatever comes up, being ready for whatever life throws at you, because they're gonna happen. Things are gonna happen with the same wits. These things are gonna happen, and you're gonna have the same defenses today as you do when they happen. So there's no point worrying about them. You may as well go in with a positive, clear mindset. And if things do come up, you're ready if you've trained yourself in the right way.
By the time you get to our age, it's like you would have had at least one a lot of people would have had at least one long-term relationship.
Sure, yeah.
I've had a couple of long-term relationships, a couple of short relationships, and the amount I've learned over the last 10 years is astronomical.
Yeah.
It's
huge.
Yeah.
Experience is everything. And I think it's a good mindset to have is to look, there are some things in life that are just purely devastating and brutal, and you can't.
Yeah, situations you can't avoid.
But it's good to try and seek any sort of positive from a negative. It could be the tiniest lesson, but really important to learn. But yeah, ultimately, man, just like I've learned so much. I feel extremely comfortable. I've always been fortunate to feel comfortable in myself. Like, you know, I struggled with some teenagery stuff, you know, when I was going through puberty with my skin and things like that. But luckily, you know, I've always generally felt pretty comfortable myself, which has been important for what I do.
Of course,
it's good because I can just go on stage and never forget I was when I was doing Dandini, actually, a panto, and a really lovely gentleman on that who was one of the Ugly Sisters said to me, like, he said, it's just great because you just don't care about making a fool of yourself. And that's what we need. And I was like, yeah, I don't, because why would I care? Because like I said, it's, I guess why I love a bit of acting, because when I step on that stage, it's not Ollie.
Yeah.
It's not Ollie being that way. It's the character. So, yeah, just all the lessons, mate. All of the lessons. Yeah. So many lessons.
A wise man once told me, Mr. Sam Mummery.
Yes.
There are no such things as problems. They're solution opportunities.
Yeah, I think, again, what stands in the way becomes the way, brother.
Yeah.
I think that's a big one to take away. What stands in the way becomes the way. If something's bothering you, tackle it head on. And add into that being different to what makes no difference. Right, wake up, I'm anxious about this. Right, what is that thing? Okay. Can I do something about it? Yes. Okay, let's do it now. Let's write it down, do it now. Can I do anything? Can I not do anything about it? I can't? Okay, well, let's write it down and forget about it. Let's try and put that to the back of my mind. You cannot do anything about that right now. So don't waste your precious time thinking about it. Think about other things. But if there comes a time where you can do something about it, do it. Just do it. What stands in the way becomes the way. It works pretty much every time. But it's scary.
Of course, yeah.
It's scary. You have to tackle this anxiety, these things you don't want to do. But I can't stress sacrifice for reward enough. That's just what I've noticed now. Sacrifice for reward. Doing those things that I feel like are rewards. Great, but put a bit of sacrifice before, and it's a winning combination.
And sacrificing things has such a negative connotation to it, but
the word sacrifice is brutal, isn't it? That's why
we said this the other day.
Yeah,
the whole essence of sacrifice is you're sacrificing for something bigger, for something better. It's quite a religious term, but it still attains to real life.
Absolutely, and I think it goes right down to time. I think that's why the word sacrifice is so like, whoa, like, you know, we do relate it to these great sacrifices of human beings or animals or a great sacrifice, but it can boil right down to, I like to go and lift some weights, and then when I eat my Kit Kat Chunky, I feel bloody good about eating that Kit Kat Chunky because I've just been lifting some weights, you know? Yeah. Like, and look, I'm going to have that Kit Kat Chunky either way, but I just feel better about it because I've analysed that. No one else has told me that. No one else has come along and gone, you need to work out before you eat that Kit Kat Chunky. And I think that's what I'm lucky with as well. I haven't had anyone else put negative perceptions of what I'm doing on me. But that's also meant that I've had to discover it all myself, which has been interesting. And self-discipline is one of the hardest things to achieve, I think. And it's because you have to be honest with yourself. Yeah. We spend most of our lives yearning for people to be honest with us. Yet, on a daily basis, if you think about it, even if it's small, you're not honest with yourself. You're not. Like, that inner feeling.
That's why evaluating yourself and analysing your behaviour is so important. Because you might not know you're making big mistakes unless you take a step back and think, okay, what I've done here is wrong, or I've judged this the wrong way. You need to keep analysing yourself, basically.
It's good. And I think analysing yourself, but from a positive standpoint, as in, or from a constructive standpoint.
Yeah.
Because you can overanalyze yourself
the right
and go,
word,
you're rubbish, you're this, you're not doing enough. But it's more going, right, if your brain's telling you you're not rubbish and you're not doing enough, that might not be the case. It might be that you just need to make your bed.
Yeah.
It might just be that you might need to eat.
Clean your room.
You might need to eat a bit more, or or have less sugar, or more carbs, or
exercise.
Could just be anything.
Over the last 6 weeks where we've been hitting up the gym so much.
Yeah,
it's how much difference has that made,
dude? I mean, look at you, mate. You're
a big old boy. I'm a big boy, aren't I?
Yeah. But that's another thing I think that.
But mentality.
Yeah,
I felt so much better about myself since going to the gym.
And we made a goal and we stuck to it. I think that's what we've realised as well. We really have. Like, we haven't even slightly been like, we don't want to go today. We've always been going. If anything, we've been like, should we rest more?
Yeah.
I think again that comes from we've been in there for like 3 hours going, it's just so nice to be somewhere, have something to do and be fully concentrated on it. But also everything like that is going to feel new now with the way we think. I hope, at least it has with the gym already, in that I used to go to the gym with 6 weeks plan, or like not even that, or just like I'm here for an instant satisfaction. I'm here because I want to, or maybe even an egotistical way. Whereas suddenly when you go in there, and like I say to you, the gym's for life. Think about it. If you want to, like, the gym is, if you really like it, you can be in there 4 days a week for the rest of your life until you physically can't. Yeah. So I think when you see it that way, suddenly you're in there, you're breathing, you're taking your time, you're not rushing, you're not lifting too much. And look, 6 weeks of us thinking and feeling like that, we've both put on a good amount of muscle and we're feeling great. Yeah. So like,
mentally,
and
we've met a few cool people down there.
We've met some very cool people,
We've met our boy. Do you know his name?
Don't know his name. We've met a gentleman at the gym who is just one of our favourite people. You know, he is. I mean, he's a machine. He's just stacked. He's got this like kind of, you know. Look, if you saw him in the street, you wouldn't start. You would start.
You'd run away.
Don't about run away, because he's also got.
I'd run away.
He's got these like, and then he smiles, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, I want to give him a hug.
Yeah, you just want to give him a big hug. But let's just say, he's a legend, and every time we go, he goes,
no shagging.
Yeah, he just goes up to the kid. You big. You know, you look like The Rock. The Rock. No shagging. Like, it just keeps going.
The Rock.
No shagging.
No shagging.
But
you give me their number. You give them my number.
You get number. You give me. I'm good at shagging. Like, he's so fun. But also, again, people like that, grounding by, he'll come up to you in the gym. He'll come up, make you feel good, wouldn't he? He'll come up to you. Yeah. Looking big, man. Looking big. Looking great. Yeah. Come up to me. Hey, looking good, man. I can see it working. Whatever. Like, it's great. I think we missed that. But
I didn't see him today.
Was he not there today?
No.
That's unusual.
I know.
I hope he's all right.
I hope he's all right as well.
God.
Yeah.
Oh, mate. We should check up on him.
Yeah.
I should find out his name. We should ask his name.
Yeah.
I feel like he introduced himself to us. Did he? No.
I don't think he did.
He's all like, you should know my name. You know, he's that kind of guy.
Yeah, and we've met Liam
and Tom. Yeah, really lovely lads, and interested in boxing and keeping in shape. Just lads that were open enough to chat and want to make friends, and that's cool. And I think that's something that should happen more. I think we can hopefully break down some of those barriers. But that gym, I've always felt a good vibe in there. It's
a great gym.
Yeah, it is really good. And just the mentality, stepping in those doors, just feels so good. It just is like we're here and we're just here. I mean, nothing else matters, because we're just here thinking about this, and that's freaking cool. I'm going back to MMA on Monday. Silverbacks MMA in Canterbury.
Really?
First one back in a long time.
Mate, I'm so jealous.
I can't wait I can't wait. I have no idea what it's going to be like. I haven't been to Silverbacks I think I went once before. Other MMA training has just been on tour as and where I can. Numerous places. Urban Kings in London is brilliant, but I'm really looking forward to going.
I will join you as soon as.
Let's get that meniscus better, mate.
I've damaged my meniscus.
Yeah, man.
Somehow.
Bloody meniscus.
You're
getting an MRI though, so we'll get that sorted.
Big boy Thursday. Yeah, and I'll be there, and I'll be doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as soon as it starts up.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
That's another big goal of ours we talk about, I guess, is that so Kit's currently got a meniscus issue going on, but like we've touched on martial arts quite a bit, but jiu-jitsu is a ground game, grappling. Just talking about it like no one knows about it. We're both white belts, but we love it, and we've trained as much as we can away from the dojo, as it were. But it's a grappling game, it's a ground game, and it is beautiful. It's all about, you know, you can have a 140-pound guy and he can just handle a 220-pound guy, no problem. And
it's ridiculous.
Everything that comes with it as well. I think the community, how your brain functions, how you have to work in the moment, the attack versus flow, you know, and it's beautiful.
Well,
we're hoping to both be black belts in 10 years. That's the
10 years, yeah. Well,
brown belt if
15,
like
15
purple
years.
brown if we're lucky, mate. Like
if we can do blue in like 3 years or 4
We're
years,
lucky,
that would
yeah.
be mad.
Yeah,
I'm
Depends
just
how
up
much
for
we
it for the life lessons as well.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
if you turn up for the first year
Get
and you
choked
get
out.
your arse handed to you constantly,
Yeah, man.
I can't wait.
It's the best feeling. Just get beat
Yeah.
down to
Yeah.
build
You're
yourself
humbled.
back up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's and also I think martial arts also helps when it comes to interactions, social interactions, because it makes you realise the power of the human body as well, and also what it means to generally people on nights out starting street fights don't understand what it means to put your hands on another man, or and you know you step into these jiu-jitsu gyms and you know you've got a small guy, and you know he's just doesn't seem like it. You wouldn't bat an eye. You know, he's 5'6", nice looking guy. He can just tear your legs off, tear your arms off, choke you out in like 5 seconds. There's nothing you can do about it. And yeah, I think it teaches you that a lot. It teaches you respect. Again, it builds you with some armor. Martial arts isn't about. Well, a lot of it is about respect, but also fighting in general or training in general. That's the key word, training. Fall in love with the training, not necessarily the end result, the fight. Because unless you are training to fight, it's armor. It's just if someone put you in that situation or nature put you in a situation, you're ready. It's not that you want to initiate or engage. It's not that, I know how to, or I put one person in an armbar, I'm going to go and start everyone on a night out.
Of course.
That's just your own problems. But that's what it just teaches you, the significance and what it means and how dangerous it is as well. You know, being physical. It only takes a punch. The right punch on the wrong surface. That's
it.
a life gone. So yeah, it's important to learn that respect. And hopefully it can give you a bit more respect for other people as well, to not be so unassuming of everyone, and
Well, exactly, yeah.
hopefully calm everyone down a bit. That's what would be the ideal. I think people have a misconception of people that box and fight, and actually generally I'd say they're going to cause way less trouble and be a lot calmer because they understand. Unfortunately, if people know they're a boxer or people think, you know, they look like a fighter, some people might pick fights with them more so because they think, I can have him or whatever. But again, that's quite an old school mentality.
Yeah. Well, you've always said that you think like the police force should be trained.
Yeah, it really
arts.
shocks me. It really shocks me that when you see a lot of the really horrendous outcomes of bad policing, even down to specifically, some of it is a lot about choking incorrectly. I'll never forget about a guy that detained a man several years ago now who just had him in a terrible like a bulldog choke, and it's just cutting off the windpipes, just gonna kill them. And even knowing when to release the choke. With blood chokes, you just knock someone out, and that's it.
Yeah.
They don't even know it's happening. You go for a little sleep, and you wake them up. Happy days.
Yeah.
But it's jiu-jitsu, I think, would be, or judo, or any martial art,
Any
even
sort of
mixed martial.
restraining.
I think grappling, anything close contact. I think correctly choking your opponent, even wrist control is massive. You know, self-defense. Here's a gun. Chop the hand. Like, come on now, Is that working? Has that ever been put into practice and fully worked?
No.
Does jiu-jitsu work? Yes, it does. You know, do martial arts work? Yeah, they do. I think, why can we not be having police officers go through really basic jiu-jitsu training? Learn
I
how
think it's
to.
a great idea.
Yeah,
I do.
I don't know. I think there's a room for it. Hey, any jiu-jitsu teachers out there, see if you can get involved with the police force. And look, mate, they might already be. Maybe the police are like, no, it's a load of rubbish.
Well, I
Maybe
mean,
they
they
think
could have
that's
trialed
right.
it. They could have trialed it already. You would think so, but it does seem like a much safer way of disengaging confrontation.
I mean, imagine John Danaher, who is just the mastermind of jiu-jitsu right now in the world, I would say, in terms of his students. Imagine him like teaching the police. I mean, my God, like
sick.
seriously, the way he talks even is just.
I guess it doesn't. It's only applicable to It wouldn't work in America, would it? Because they've got guns.
Well, we've got knives over here. Listen.
But and that would it would make a difference against a knife, I think. Maybe not to. Well, maybe
a bit. But I think again, but with the general self-defense, you're always accounting for the fact that there might be. Listen, if there's a weapon, if there's a gun pulled on you, it's just no striking or self-defense. Generally is going to help you. Yes, you could make the attempt of trying to do one of these fancy knocking the gun out of their hand or whatever, or Krav Maga, blah, blah, blah. But you want to, in that split moment with all that adrenaline, you want to risk your life by trying to use a Krav Maga move. With the guns, it's just, I mean, God, goodness knows how they cope over there. Goodness knows.
What you've got coming up soon? You've got Back to the Future.
Moving to London, which is a cool
Moving to
thing.
London.
Move back up to London. Back to the Future for a year.
Yep.
It's opening August 21st.
And what theatre?
The Adelphi on the Strand, nearest big station is Charing Cross, but you literally Covent Garden, Embankment, anywhere. It's the Strand. It's the big one.
Fantastic.
But it's going to be an amazing show. It already did a small run because of COVID. It got cut short in Manchester, and it just looks like an incredible show. The music's going to be insane. I mean, it's Back to the Future. The energy. It's going to be wicked. Please come and watch. Yeah. Please come and watch. Come and support. And I look forward to being up there again.
I can't wait to see it.
Mate,
I can't wait to see it.
You're going to be a press night, mate. Don't worry about
it. Well, I hope so.
100%.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on today, mate.
I love you, bro.
I love you too, man.
Yes, mate. Wicked.
Thank you for watching this episode of Kit's Corner. See you next time.